Welcome to this week's on-demand learning video. In English this week, we have been looking at using semicolons. A semicolon is a piece of punctuation that has a comma and a full stop to make one piece of punctuation. This helps us remember that it's stronger than a comma, but not as final as a full stop. But it can be used to join two independent clauses, two main clauses which make sense on their own. Semicolons are used when both of these clauses or sentences make sense on their own. They are used to link the sentences that are closely related. Have a look at the examples you can see here. Grandad is going bald. His hair gets thinner each time we see them. In this sentence, both Grandad is going bald and his hair gets thinner each time we see him make sense on their own. The semicolon is used to join both of these clauses as they are linked together. They are both about the same thing. Have a look at the second one. We had too many fumbles, we lost the game. Again, the semicolon joins the two independent or main clauses which make sense on their own. They are both about the game of football, hence they can be linked with a semicolon. Sean wanted to call our new puppy Scratch. I hated the name. Again, both of these independent main clauses make sense on their own. So they are joined by the semicolon because they are closely related. The last one uses a sentence, a main clause, but also a question, but they are still joined with the semicolon as they are about the same thing. I am so sorry, will you ever be able to forgive me? As you can see in these sentences, using a semicolon works perfectly to allow a smooth transition between the two sentences. For your maths learning this week, we've been looking at fractions. We have covered a wealth of different areas with our fractions learning. In the first lesson, we looked at simplifying and also equivalent fractions. You will see here 5/10. When we are simplifying or finding equivalent fractions, whatever we do to the numerator, we must also do to the denominator. You can see here the numerator has been divided by 5 and also the denominator has been divided by 5. We have also been looking at comparing fractions with different denominators. Here you can see two fractions with different denominators, 3/5 and 2/3. To be able to compare these fractions, we need to find a common denominator, which involves listing the multiples for 5 and the multiples for 3. A common multiple between 5 and 3 is 15, so this becomes our denominator. We then look at how we get from 5 to 15, which in this case is multiplying by 3, so we do the same thing for our numerator. This gives us a fraction of 9/15. We need to do the same for 2/3. To get from 3 to 15, we multiply by 5, so we do the same thing with 2. 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. We then have two fractions we can easily compare, 9/15 and 10/15. And we can easily see that 10/15 is bigger. When we are adding fractions, if they have the same denominator, this is relatively simple. The denominator here, which is 5/5, stays the same, and we add the numerators. 1/5 add 3/5 is 4/5. When we are adding fractions with different denominators, we again need to find a common denominator, and in this case the common denominator is 10. 1/5 multiplied by 2 is 2/10. We multiply the numerator by 2 and the denominator by 2. 3/10 stays as 3/10, because to get from 10 to 10 we are multiplying by 1, and we multiply the numerator by 1 also. We can then easily add these fractions up. 2/10 add 3/10 is 5/10, which is the same as a half. Therefore, 1/5 add 3/10 is 5/10, which is the same as a half.